Wait, don't scroll. Because when a terrified woman whispered, "Make it quick," to a rancher who bought her for just $1. What he did next shocked an entire town. Storm clouds swallowed the Texas sky the night Emma stumbled into Red Hollow Ranch, clothes torn, hands shaking, and eyes heavy with exhaustion. She looked like she'd run through a war zone. The sheriff dragged her in roughly, throwing her onto the dusty porch as if she were worth less than the mud on his boots. "We found her trespassing again," Sheriff Colt spat, wiping sweat from his brow. "She's homeless, a drifter. Not worth the trouble. Auction her off for community service. Start the bid at $1. The townspeople laughed cruelly. Emma hid her face behind messy strands of hair, trembling. She wasn't a criminal, she was a runaway, a survivor. But every time she tried to escape her past, the world pushed her back down. That's when he stepped forward, Luke Maddox, a tall rancher with sunburned skin, sharp eyes, and a quietness that made the crowd part instinctively. "I'll take her," he said, tossing a single dollar into the sheriff's hand. The sheriff grinned. "She's yours. Do whatever you want. Make it quick. She's a useless stray." The crowd cheered. Emma's heartbeat collapsed. She thought she was being bought for labor, punishment, maybe worse. Luke leaned down, speaking softly. "Stand up. You're safe now." But Emma, broken and defeated, whispered the words that would haunt everyone who heard them. "Just make it quick." Luke froze. The sheriff smirked. "See? She knows she deserves it." Luke's jaw tightened so hard a vein popped in his neck. He placed a gentle hand on Emma's shoulder. "Look at me," he said firmly, but kindly. Emma raised her face slowly, tears streaking dust down her cheeks. Luke shook his head. "I didn't pay $1 to hurt you. I paid $1 to save you." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Sheriff Colt scoffed. "Save her? From what?" Luke turned toward him. "From you." The crowd fell silent. Luke wrapped his jacket around Emma, guiding her gently to his truck, shielding her from the stares and insults. Emma clutched the jacket close, trembling not from fear now, but confusion. No one had protected her in years. As Luke drove her to safety, Emma whispered, "Why? Why would you help someone like me?" Luke kept his eyes on the road. "Because someone once saved me when I thought I was done. I'm paying it forward." Emma blinked, stunned. But safety was still foreign to her, and she stayed tense, expecting hurt at any moment. Luke glanced at her again. "Emma, you don't ever have to beg anyone to make it quick again." Emma looked out the window, tears falling silently. Not from fear this time, but from the first flicker of hope she'd felt in years. Before we jump to Chapter 2, if you're still watching, hit like and subscribe so you never miss stories that truly hit the heart. Luke's ranch was quiet, peaceful, and far from the judgmental eyes of town. But Emma entered it like a shadow fearing the light. She hovered near the door, unsure if she was allowed to sit, breathe, or simply exist. Luke noticed. "You're safe here," he repeated, placing a warm bowl of soup in front of her. Emma hesitated before taking a tiny sip, the first real meal she'd had in days. "You said you saved me from the sheriff? But why would he auction me like that? Why do they hate me?" Emma whispered. Luke sat across from her, leaning forward. "Because this town protects its own sins. And you saw something they don't want anyone to know." Emma froze, spoon halfway to her lips. Luke continued, voice low. "The sheriff brought you in last month too, didn't he? Said you were trespassing. But you weren't. You were running from someone." Emma's breath trembled. "I saw him," she whispered, voice cracking. "I saw Sheriff Colt taking money from someone behind the old mill. A man passed him a bag. When he saw me watching, he told me if I said anything, I'd disappear." Luke nodded. "I figured." Emma looked up, eyes wide with fear. "He'll come for me." Luke's gaze hardened. "Not while you're under my roof." But the sheriff wasn't done. That same night, headlights flooded the ranch. Dogs barked. Luke stood at the door, shotgun ready, not to kill, but to defend. Sheriff Colt stomped out of his truck. "Hand her over," he shouted. She's a witness to a federal crime, and she's lying. She's not lying, Luke said, stepping in front of the door. You are. The sheriff reached for his gun. Emma screamed from behind the door. Stop! She ran outside, shaking uncontrollably but standing tall. You took money from the cartel? She said loudly, voice trembling yet brave. I saw you. I saw everything. Luke moved beside her, protective. The sheriff's face twisted in rage. You think anyone will believe a stray? But headlights appeared behind the sheriff. Black SUVs, engines rumbling. Federal agents stepped out. We will, the lead agent said. Sheriff Colt spun around too late. Agents swarmed him, cuffing his wrists as he cursed and spit. Emma collapsed in relief. Luke caught her. The lead agent approached her kindly. Your testimony helped us finish a 3-month investigation. You're not a stray, ma'am. You're a hero. Emma cried into Luke's chest, not from fear, but release. Luke whispered, Told you. You're safe. Weeks later, Emma stayed on the ranch, not as someone saved, but as someone rebuilding. She helped with the horses, learned the land, and slowly rediscovered the pieces of herself she thought were gone forever. One morning, she handed Luke $1. What's this? He asked. Emma smiled softly. I'm buying back my freedom. Luke shook his head, pressed the dollar back into her hand, and said the words she'd been waiting to hear her entire life. Emma, you were always free. If this story touched your heart, hit like and subscribe for more emotional and unforgettable stories.